Houri, the brides of paradise. As you may be very familiar by now with my videos, this is another topic where the Qur'an says differently to the scholars and the traditionally held beliefs. Another term made into something outrageous instead of the best meaning, and it takes only a little effort to see the truth from the sick lies. When my father was a child and learning to recite the Qur'an without meaning, the local mullah got onto the topic of these Houris. My father asked, if men get Houris, do women get Hurras? A beating with a stick ensued, and since that day my father knew who to avoid if he wanted to learn about Islam, as this ignoramus did not know anything that made sense. It must be genetic. The mullah gods and any other senselessly named shirk sectarians have two things on their minds: a life of endless and useless self-made rituals on this earth and women in the hereafter. The first is to please God, the second is to pleasure themselves. I follow the one and true God, Allah, and listen and abide by what He says, and my choice is to serve Allah by serving humanity, bettering humanity, lifting humanity. Let us dive under the covers and see what we may learn Quranically about the enigmatic gorgeousnesses of heaven. On earth, Muslims have rejected the Quran for the Hadith, and in heaven they will have the Kama Sutra as a guide. What we are discussing, and no, I am not making this up, the mullah god scholars have invented these fairy Houri tales. Try reading this out to your mothers, sisters, daughters, and definitely your wives for comparison. From https wiki Islam 72 virgins. Physical attributes: wide and beautiful, lovely eyes, white skinned, racist like pearls, hairless except the eyebrows and the head, 60 cubits, 27.5 meters tall, 7 cubits, 3.2 meters in width, transparent to the marrow of their bones, eternally young companions of equal age. Sexual attributes: I am not going to read this out, my modesty prevents me from doing so. Personality attributes: chaste, restraining their glances, modest gaze. Other attributes: splendid, pure, non-menstruating, non-urinating, non-defecating, and child-free, never dissatisfied, so the men will not need their little blue pills. Will sing praise. Raisins: if you thought the Muslims had a twisted, sick understanding of the Houri factor, then the ridiculous interpretation of the relevant passages of the Quran is the Syro-Aramaic reading, one written by Christoph Luxemburg, who argues that the relevant passage actually translates to a portrayal of paradise as a lush garden with pooling water and trees with rare fruit, including white raisins, considered to be delicacies at the time that the Quran was written, not virgin maidens. Yes, our martyrs will get 72 raisins for rewards. This is from someone who has not understood what they are translating and or has gone to some weird source to get this definition. Smoking the wrong plant supplied by the Muslim scholars. Root of Houri: according to classical Arabic usage in the time when the Quran was first revealed, Hourin is made of two words, Hur and In. The word Hur is the plural, and both Awa masculine and Haura feminine, which literally translates into persons distinguished by Hawa, signifying intense whiteness of the eyeballs and lustrous black of the pupils, hence the purity. Thus, the most appropriate English rendering of the compound word Hourin will be companions pure, most beautiful of eye. It is applicable to both male and female, so true believers who follow the right guidance of Allah will have a heavenly existence here and in the hereafter. They will each, male and female, have companions who are patient, kind, thoughtful, pleasant to look at, and true to one another. There is no mention of Bukharian idolaters, 72 virgins for each man to fulfill his desires, so again the unauthentic hadith, read so fervently by our religious leaders and believed by the majority, are condemned to the fires of hell for their falsehood. A much better translation of relevant verse is:
relaxing on well-decorated couches, and we will match them with excellent companions, most beautiful of vision. And those who attained belief, and whose children followed them in belief, we shall unite them with their children. We shall not let any of their deeds go to waste. Every human will be held responsible for his own doings. Being the progeny of righteous ancestors alone will be of no avail. Rahim, held as pledge, collateral.
Well-endowed females, Arbery, 7833. Surely for the God-fearing awaits a place of security, gardens and vineyards, and maidens with swelling breasts like of age, and a cup overflowing. Oh boy, this is based upon what the scholars have told him. If any right-thinking human being reads this, then the Quran may well be condemned, thrown away, burnt. But no, I am going to do what Arbery did not do and study what the word in the Quran is and how it is used by Arab speakers and understood by them. The original wording in Arabic is Wakawaiba Atraban, and Muhammad Asad has said the following about the above verse.
Regards my rendering of Kawaib as splendid companions, it is to be remembered that the term Kaab, from which the participle Kaib is derived, has many meanings, and that one of these meanings is prominence, eminence, or glory, Lisan al-Arab. Thus, the verb Kaba, when applied to a person, signifies he made another person prominent, glorious, or splendid. Based on this tropical meaning of both the verb Kaba and the noun Kab, the participle Kaib has often been used, in popular parlance, to denote a girl whose breasts are becoming prominent, or are budding. Hence, many commentators see in it an allusion to some sort of youthful, female companions who would entertain the, presumably male, occupants of paradise. This interpretation of Kawaib overlooks the purely derivative origin of the above popular usage, which is based on the tropical connotation of prominence inherent in the noun Kab, and substitutes for this obvious tropism the literal meaning of something that is physically prominent, and this, in my opinion, is utterly unjustified. If we bear in mind that the Quranic descriptions of the blessings of paradise are always allegorical, we realize that in the above context the term Kawaib can have no other meaning than glorious, or splendid, being Hamid Asad, the message of the Quran.
Never expected to be held accountable, and they called our messages false with an adamant denial, but we place on record everything. So, now, taste nothing but increasing punishment. There is supreme fulfillment for those who chose to live upright. Beautiful gardens and vineyards, and splendid companions, well matched, and a cup of delight overflowing. They shall hear no senseless talk, nor falsification therein. Reward from your Lord, a generous gift, Lord of the heavens and earth and all that is in between them, the beneficent. None has the power to lecture him. They shall hear no senseless talk, nor falsification therein.
One day, brothers and sisters, one day. Bukhari says the Houris of heaven will have the marrow of the bones of their legs seen through the bones and the flesh. What will be seen in their legs? Are we describing pleasant companions or anorexic fashion models? Unfortunately, the utterances of a deluded Persian are used to distort the true meaning of the Quran, so we must delve further into the word of Allah to see what we ought to believe about this and the next life. More verses that are misconstrued or totally ignored when heaven is mentioned.
In orchards without thorns, and trees laden with fruit and flower, and cool expanded shades of abundant delight, and waterfalls, and fruit abounding, never interrupted, never too far, and on thrones, raised in honor. We have given the women among them a new being, wholly different from the age of ignorance, and made them of unparalleled virtue, abkara, of matchless virtue, untouched by vice, pure. The word abkara has been restricted to virginity except by all Amaji, Pawaz. Kamuz and Ragib among the ancient experts of the Quraysh dialect give it the correct meaning rendered here, as they cite several examples from ancient Arabic poetry.
Real companionship. The Quran further expands upon the relationship between men and women in the below verses that talk about both of them having companions that are pleasing to each other.
Among his signs it is that he created you out of dust, beginning of life from water and inorganic matter, life cell, and then you became human beings scattered far and wide. And among his signs is this, created for you mates from yourselves, so that you might find comfort in them. And he ordained between you love and kindness. In that are signs for those who reflect. Azwaj, husband plus wife, that are mates to, and complement each other's personality.
Practically the whole Quran talks to both men and women except for a few verses relevant to each sex. Again, it speaks in the most pleasant manner regarding women, and there is no hint of the obscenities that prevail in the Hadith and the minds of the Hadith-inspired, paganized Muslims practicing Islam today. Practice does not make perfection. Practice only makes perfection when it is right. Male youths in paradise. Did I mention that the mullah denied there were delights for women in heaven or something for the deviants to look forward to? There are some that beg to differ based on another twisted meaning of the Quran. Wikipedia has the following. Quran 52:24. Round about the believers will serve to them young boys who will be as pearls well guarded. Alternatively translated as, and they will go round boy servants of theirs to serve them, as if they were preserved pearls. Quran 56:17. They will be served by immortal eternal young boys, as fair as virgin pearls. Alternatively translated as, round about them will serve boys of perpetual freshness. Or, and round about them will serve boys of perpetual freshness. If thou seest them, thou wouldst think them scattered pearls, or yet and around about them will serve them boys of everlasting youth. If you see them, you would think they were scattered pearls. These youth are seen to be described in the Qur'an as servants given to those, whether male or female, who attain paradise." End quote. As well as the Houris of paradise, there are male youths to serve your every need. Again, the twisted and vulgar hadith have wreaked their revenge on the best of peoples and relegated their minds to the gutter. I have checked the Quran and the word servant is not there, and a better understanding of what is being stated comes from
Gardens of delight, a good many of those who led in goodness, and some of those who follow them. Verses 13 and 14 are usually rendered, under the influence of fabricated tradition, to mean that most of the dwellers of paradise will come from generations of the old, before the advent of the exalted messenger Muhammad, and a few from the later generations. That is evidently contrary to the Quran and to divine justice, and it certainly belittles the perfected final revelation of God, on decorated thrones, reclining thereon, socializing, their children immortal, going cheerfully around them with goblets, glistening beakers, and sparkling drinks, wherefrom they get no headache nor beclouding of mind, and fruit of their choice, the supreme delicacies of life, and lovely, intelligent spouses of vision, Houri and in, lovely, modest companions of vision, male and female. This term carries special significance for the abuse it has been made to go through, almost invariably translated as gorgeous women with big black eyes. That translation is neither linguistically correct nor does it fit into the big picture. In and derivatives literally refer to eyes and as an allegory for vision and insight.
So I leave you with two choices. Strive to make yourself and your companions the best of peoples, or deny and continue.
When it is said to them, "Follow what God has revealed," they say, "Nay, we will follow the ways of our ancestors." What? Even though their ancestors and the ancient imams were lacking in understanding and were not rightly guided. The likeness of such blind followers is that of a herd of sheep which hear the shepherd's call, but hear in it nothing more than a sound and a shout. Deaf, dumb, blind, for they do not use their reason. And the messenger will say, "O my Lord, these are my people who had abandoned this Quran as something to be neglected."
The Quran Unchained.